everyone, Pineaaronapple here with Jodie's final episode, and the final episode run by Chris Chibnall of Doctor Who. The Power of the Doctor. And wow, what a journey. Some episodes I loved, a lot I disliked, and some objectively were just terrible. But hey, there aren't a lot of Doctor Who eras that are without episodes like that. Last time we got a pretty poor showing in Legend of the Sea Devils, and here I was excited for this episode, and I'm even more excited to see where Doctor Who goes from here. But was that excitement satisfied? Well, let's get into this episode of Doctor Who, last of the 3 specials and the real Series 13 finale, The Power of the Doctor. The episode starts off with a bang as a speeding space train is under attack by some Cybermasters, who apparently survived the Series 12 finale and are looking as good as ever with some nice variations in design. A crew assists the passengers, but are shitting themselves as the Cybermen start regenerating. The Doctor, Dan and Yaz arrive, and although the CGI and green screen get very dodgy every now and then, this sequence of the TARDIS team getting into the train is pretty well done, if a little too ambitious, and Dan really being pulled through shit. Dan gets hit but is saved, and we now see that the Cybermen deletion has a torture setting, not just one hit kill, which is an interesting evolution. The Cybermasters are after the cargo of the train, the Doctor getting Dan to slow the train down, and the girls going to stop the Cybermasters' plan. Another thing that was a little jarring for me here is how matter-of-fact the Doctor is about the Cybermasters. We don't really get the feeling that she's gone through recognising that this means the Master has obviously survived, and exactly what these Cybermasters are capable of, since she barely saw them in action in the Timeless Children. Dan gets some funnies and the Cybermen just leave the train via teleport, once getting their hands on the cargo, which is apparently a small emotionless child. We see the return of Chibnall's sexual kink, large fake industrial cheese-coloured text detailing the year and location of the shot. Now in Siberia, 1916, as a messenger is sent to retrieve this man, urgently needed at the Winter Palace. Now back in London 2022, thanks to our yellow-orangish text, we see one of the best companions return, Sophie Aldred's Ace, who is asking about a missing painting, apparently needing restoration work done, twice in a very short time span. Told to her by this very awkward member of staff. Also, why did Ace take a photo of the bare wall? To show proof it's not there? It's like when you don't receive a package and someone asks you for evidence you didn't get it. What am I supposed to show you? The package I didn't get? Anyway, from that tangent, we see Ace talking to Tegan, aka Janet Fielding, who in Romania is investigating missing seismologists. And after some pleasant banter between her and Ace, who is now in what I think may be a cafe, we learn that Tegan was sent a package, a small Russian doll Cyberman, apparently from the Doctor. Returning from Flux, the Doctor drops Dan off near his old house for a date, but after the health scare he had with the train, he decides to leave. Now don't get me wrong, this is a good scene, but come on. He has been a companion for a whole series, and he leaves 10 minutes into this special, only to pop back up at the end. It just kind of felt lazy. Or they couldn't figure out how to use this character, so they just abandoned him. Meanwhile, in the TARDIS, the Doctor gets a transmission from a turncoat Dalek. He believes that Daleks are unneeded and should be destroyed, which is an interesting concept not at all used to a good effect in this story. Yaz re-enters the TARDIS, and another problem pops up as a whole new planet appears by Earth in 1916. And another screen text brings us there. As in a good scene, the Master works his way into the lead position in the Winter Palace as Rasputin. Oh, I hope a song will be coming up soon. Meanwhile, on the mysterious planet, the TARDIS lands to find Doctor Who filming in a quarry. What a surprise! This planet is so eloquently put as cyber technology. But that's not all here. There is another TARDIS, looking much like the Doctor's, only with a funny nameplate and an edited inside. Clearly the Master's TARDIS. It is looking good, if not a little too neon, but it is also a part of the planet itself. Outside, the Doctor finds the planet's power source, finding the child from before, although this is no child. It is a sentient energy named a Quirunx? Quirunx? Yeah, we only hear them say the word twice, maybe 3 times in the entire script for something so integral. So it took me going through the transcript of the episode to actually learn how to spell it, since I couldn't sound it out. This Quirunx has an interesting defense mechanism, taking the form of something that you would want to protect, which was a good idea. Another good idea in this episode that was not used to its full effect. The Doctor and Yaz are chased off by attackers, and are called in by Kate, who is researching with Ace and Tegan, who get an awkward reunion with the now female Doctor. And I think I should point out for those who don't know that Ace's blue shoelaces apparently mean she killed a cop. I'm not sure if that is completely in character or not, but it's strange either way. There are some interesting ideas here, like the connection between Tegan, Ace and Yaz, much like Rose and Sarah Jane's school reunion. Tegan is the same, absolutely no mellow, and so is Ace for the most part. Wanting out of the awkward conversation, we see that the Master has pasted his face, or rather Rasputin's face, onto many famous paintings. But there isn't much detective work needed, as he just hijacks their screens and entertainingly rambles to them, giving away his location, as the Doctor zaps Ace and Tegan. Now in... where are we? Oh, Naples! It's only taking up a quarter of the damn screen. We find the Master giving a TED Talk on volcanoes to a captive audience of shrunken seismologists. An actually kind of haunting visual. And we get a good scene of the Master manipulating the Doctor. Sacha Dhawan just being an all-around joy to have in this episode. And the seriousness is perfectly displayed as the unit forces that take the Master away are also ordered by the Doctor to give Yaz a gun to keep him still. And boy, does the Master's mix of excitement and malice go together perfectly. In the TARDIS, the Master tries to manipulate Yaz, expositing how good his plan is, and 13 gets a place to meet the defecting Dalek. Meanwhile, on the cyber planet, Vinder of all people suddenly appears while exploring a wormhole. But that is a little confusing. And is this wormhole through space and time? Because I think that this planet is meant to be in 1916 exclusively, not modern day. So that could make the nonsensical timelines worse than they already are. At Unit, the Master is still great, getting to work off the other companions well. 13 and Yaz have a little freak out in the TARDIS, 13 zapping Yaz now, and the two landing in a good-looking volcano to meet the Dalek. Yaz finds more, trying to affect the volcano, and is more than a little shaken. While in Unit, Tegan and Ace are attacked by Cybermen spawning from the Russian doll, even with a reappearing Ashad, which feels kinda cheap, and although he feels less intimidating than he did in Series 12, he is still shown to be more imposing than the others. And I really like the visuals of the little doll standing before them, like a cross between Toy Story and a Weeping Angel. The two companions manage to get up to the next floor, but unfortunately, the gold guns they stored don't do much to the future Cybermen. We also get a great fight with Ashad in this hallway, akin to the Darth Vader scene in Rogue One. And although there is an obvious cut, this episode seems to really be trying to do more long shots, and I'm all for it. And with this, the Master is set free with maximum flair. Back in the volcano, Yaz is too late to get to the Doctor as the traitor Dalek is killed and 13 is trapped inside its casing, being teleported away. Yaz makes it into the TARDIS, taking out what seems to be essentially a beginner's handbook, and pilots the TARDIS. Are we really supposed to believe that Yaz has been around 13 long enough to just fully be able to pilot the TARDIS? I mean, sure, she's probably getting a lot of help from the TARDIS itself, But seriously, I'm not sure I buy companions piloting an advanced sentient time and space capsule, unless they're in a song. I suppose if that's the case, being the Doctor's romantic interest gives TARDIS piloting privilege. Back in the past, okay, for God's sake, I don't think we need a new title card every single time we hop away. We've already been here. I think the audience can rub their two brain cells together to figure out that this is the same year that we have been to twice now. 13 is surrounded in a pretty menacing visual, and with a couple great references, the Master starts to continue on with his destroying the Doctor talk. And yes, this just makes me like this version of the Master more, especially so when he decides to dance to the song Rasputin. Seriously, a 10 out of 10 scene. But we also learn a big part of his plan, inducing a forced regeneration, much like in the War Games. Vinder uses the phone he was given in Flux to contact the real TARDIS, as the cyberplanet starts activating, and we get a priceless shared look of dumbfoundedness between a Dalek and Cyberman. Vinder's message makes it to Yaz, but she is distracted by the Master, who now enacts his plan, that he keeps saying is forced regeneration, but is basically just body snatching. And this scene is pretty cool. Really makes me feel like this could also work as a two-parter, if the episode had stopped on a cliffhanger here. And it's quite funny to see Sacha Dhawan in 13's outfit. The TARDIS lands and Yaz confronts the Master, who continues to be great even if Yaz's reactions aren't always that good. The Master goes into the TARDIS and drags Yaz along as his companion. Back at unit, the trio plan, Ace having stashed her stuff earlier, getting ready for her and Tegan to evacuate via parachute, even with her trusty superpowered bat, and making a Beyonce joke that made no one in my household laugh. Either time we watched this. The Master fucks around entertainingly, the TARDIS showing initial pushback, and he exposits his plan to make the Doctor's name an icon of fear. Ace makes her way onto the roof, but Tegan, feeling guilty about the Cybermen, is locked in the building. On another planet that looks barely rendered, the Master, in a great Doctor outfit, takes credit for the horrific war on these two strangely gravitationally stationary planets, as a random fucking drone comes out of nowhere with no indication of where it came from, why it's here, or where it's going Cotton Eye Joeing. It records the Master's testimony and leaves. Out of anger, Yaz does the amazing deed of pushing the Master over and leaving, as he waits for her to return, playing a flute in homage to the Second Doctor. Meanwhile, 13's consciousness appears in another plane, representing her regeneration's afterlife, met by, holy shit, David Bradley, and Colin, and Peter, and Sylvester, and Paul McGann on screen again, holy shit! Yeah, this scene, while kinda clickbaity and memberberry-like, was awesome, and I'd kill for some more McGann screen time. This guy needs his own spin-off season or something. These doctors exposit that she needs to get her body back, and how the Master's plan affects them. They are apparently here to hold her away from the abyss representing death. Yaz is visited by a hologram 13 that she apparently placed on her and the others under the guise of the static shock. This AI 13 is, I don't know, probably more entertaining than 13 is. Her sort of childlike enthusiasm and inability to read social cues works as an unfeeling machine and not as an actual character. Yaz pops by to pick up Vinder and exposits off screen. The AI gets into a crisis when she learns about the forced regeneration, but she has a plan. Back at unit, the Cybermen convert, even though they only have these dodgy chair things, and Tegan makes her way back to Kate, who she tears into in impeccable badassness. Kate plans to blow the building to shit, distracting the Cybermen, while Tegan makes her way to the basement to blow it up.
We're gonna blow it up.
Kate starting her plan by luring a Shad to her office. On top, Ace is psyching herself up and jumps off in green screen that is a little odd, but is shot down by a Shad before Yaz scoops her up. She is psyched to be back, and Yaz goes to drop her into one of the volcanoes to deal with the Daleks. Yaz and Vinder pick up the Master, but Vinder is hiding away while Yaz pretends to be on the Master's side, while he tries to bond with her. While hiding, Tegan sees her hologram that gets turned into 5 due to her emotions, in a nice scene for fans of the old show and new alike. Even getting what I think is Adric's first mention in all of New Who. He helps Tegan get a grip, and she sneaks her way into the sealed lift shaft. The Daleks are still mining, and Ace gets a scene with her own doctor. God, I love seeing these two back together. Although the camera filming Sylvester McCoy feels a bit dodgy every now and then. But I do have to say, although they try to explain what happened after the show, how they split up and the last time she saw the Master being with the Cheetah people, and I'm sure both those points disregard the audio and novels in some way, the way they explain it and go about it feels a little unexplored or cheap, but I think it works well enough from a story perspective to just move past. Turning a corner, she somehow meets another face, Graham, who bumbles about like we love him for. And they weirdly kinda flirt, but I do like these two together. The Cybermen reach Kate and she buys some time, eventually coming to a deal. But it is a nice moment for her character, being both vulnerable and strong, far more than she got in Flux, showing her scared to face the Cyberman. Rightfully so, but as head of unit nuts up and goes face to face with them. As this happens, Tegan is making her way down, but a Shad busts in like he's from a horror movie and she seemingly falls down. How she survived if this is the case, I don't know, but I like to think she just started sliding like how cool people get down ladders, but that obviously isn't the case. Back with the Master, he sets his plan into motion with the Daleks, erupting the planet with 3 more location cards! In a great scene with a hologram Joe Martin and Vinda straight up shooting the Master, Yaz uses the energy from the regenerating Cybermen to power the regeneration machine and swap the Master and Doctor back. And I'm not going to lie, the Master's line of "don't let me go back to being me" is really emotional. And it does fit both the Master as a character in this incarnation to a point, but I feel like there are a lot of discrepancies if this is the case, when looking back on him just in this episode, and back when he appeared in Spyfall and the Timeless Children. I mean, seriously, if he's sitting here going, "Ooh, I just want to be the Doctor, please don't make me be the Master," why would he then go and besmirch the name of the Doctor by claiming to start wars everywhere? It just doesn't sit right with me. 13 gets to say goodbye to her other selves and appears back, wearing the great menagerie of clothing that the Master had changed into, saying thanks to Yaz. Tegan manages to save Kate after a little struggling, and 13 comes up with a plan to stop the Master's minions. In the volcano, Ace and Graham fuck up a Dalek and rig their base to blow and run for it, the Doctor managing to arrive just in time and pick the two up, the Daleks being wiped away. In another fun, if a little ridiculous shot, Kate and Tegan make it out of Unit HQ without being crushed by the rubble, and both enter the TARDIS in entertaining fashion. Kate getting what I think is her first go on the TARDIS. Back in the Winter Palace, thankfully not shown with a title card, but if every other time is, why not this one? We see the Master isn't finished yet. In immense pain, yes, but not finished. 13 gets everyone to help with the TARDIS and helps Vinda fix his ship and get him through that random wormhole. 13 goes to the Master's TARDIS, since it's connected to the planet, using both TARDISes with the help of her companions to get the planet back to modern day, in a pretty exciting effort. With 2 more title cards, Jesus! Then 13 uses the power laser to convert the volcanoes from lava to steel, stopping the eruption in a pretty good looking effect. Lastly, she frees the energy creature, asking it to destroy the planet as she tries to leave. But the Master gets one final word in, the build up to this scene being pretty good. But, to be honest, I really didn't feel anything as 13 was hit by the laser. Seriously, I don't know what it is, but I like the Master's last line, and then it just kind of looks like the laser grazes 13. It doesn't feel like when 10 died via Dalek fire, and we see his death in slow-mo and all these reactions to it. Yaz comes out and gets 13 back to the TARDIS in a weird shot. as the Master definitely dies and won't ever come back again. 13 getting one last look at her friends before passing out, which feels cheap as she never gets a goodbye or last word to any of them by Yaz, who we see has dropped everyone off. Enjoying the victory, the Doctor finds her hand covered in regeneration energy, signalling her death. 13 still doesn't gel with me emotionally here, but at least between this scene and the next where they eat ice cream on top of the TARDIS, I can buy the connection the two share. 13 tells Yaz that she needs to continue on alone, because I guess Russell T Davies didn't want to deal with Yaz, and the Doctor drops her off back home, in this random park, but I guess it's exactly where she needs to be as she runs into Graham and Dan, who take her to Alcoholics Anonymous. I mean, a Doctor support group. Which is another great scene, with the faces we have seen this episode all great here, but also Mel, one of my least favourite companions, although she did get better in the audios, Katie Manning as Jo because this scene would fail without her, and the man who outlived the Queen, Ian. And what a surprise that was! It really caught me off guard and got me very excited in the moment.
A surprise, to be sure, but a welcome one.
13 makes her way to this cliff top, and her final monologue, I admit, is pretty good if a little scattershot, really keeping in with her characterization, and while not as good as others, is a lovely moment. And the visuals of the regeneration are great as well. And of course, because they didn't include him in 13 media enough, she turns into David Tennant, what may be the 14th Doctor, but may also be a trick by someone, Neil Patrick Harris, but I suppose we'll have to wait a whole year to find out. So that was the power of the Doctor. The end of Jodie's era, and how did I like it? While not as good as some episodes from other eras, this is a standout in Jodie's. Don't get me wrong, it has its fair share of problems. Unfortunately for our main cast, I am still not invested in Yaz and 13 as I wish I could be, and Dan is abandoned at the beginning, which is a really poor start. I mean, Dan probably doesn't even know any of this was happening, or who the Master even is. While it's great to see Ace and Tegan again, there isn't a big reason for them to be there, as the self-investigating pieces of their story aren't used to their fullest, just as a cursory way to get them into the story. Although I do love how it opens up that final companion scene, which I will never not be excited about. The Master and his attitude was probably the best part of the story, almost flawless, and seeing Jo Martin again was good, much like Vinda, even if Vinda didn't get much to do or have much of a reason to be there in the first place. So I'll give Doctor Who Series 13 Episode 9, or The Specials Episode 3, and according to Wikipedia, Story 300, a good 7 out of 10. I enjoyed it a lot, but it does still have issues, and a few characters fail to keep me emotionally invested. Thank you everybody so much for watching my review of The Power of the Doctor. Please like the video if you liked it, comment down below if you wish, writing something you want me to review if you want, and if you like seeing my videos, subscribe to the channel, and if you do ring the notification bell so you're told every single time that I make an upload. Check out the links in the description, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!
And toast. A little piece of toast. Because there's so much to choose from. There's brown bread, white bread, all sorts of wholemeal bread. It comes in funny packages with writing on the side.